I decided to stir the pot a little with my jumping session for today because I wanted to throw a little stone in the pond and see where the ripples go. So I'm usually starting this day on a weighted box jump from a seated position because I feel like it's a more taxing exercise, and I better do that when I am slightly more rested and at the beginning of the session basically. But what I wanted to change in this one here was to elevate the box and remove the weights and see how I look in terms of position when landing. And the idea behind this change, which is going to be a one-off thing only, is to create a benchmark, or rather a photography of my current situation in terms of explosiveness from the floor onto a box, because I want to see in the coming weeks when I'm going back onto doing some weighted jumps, if those are then going to contribute in a higher landing position when I'm going to retest this in the future. And this is a little experiment that I'm running within my program because I wanted to see if there is a way for me to quantify progression in a certain lift while I am reducing the weight and taking it to the body weight expression of it. And I think that the jump would be the best candidate for this because it is something that will give me a visual feedback of whether I have been improving in terms of explosiveness and basically jump height. It's the quickest way that I can see if I have been improving, and I won't be able to see if there are going to be small changes. This is why I'm thinking that I will be doing this on a 2 to 3 months time frame, just because I want to let enough time pass in between so that I can appreciate some changes, and hopefully there are some. It's kind of a shame that I did not test this in the very beginning, because when I was getting back into the jumping stuff, my approach to box jumps was slightly different, and I do not feel like the way that I was doing it in the beginning is a very effective way to do so. So I wouldn't want to do those same exercises now because I have not been training them, because I discontinued them, so it wouldn't be like a fair assessment. And the way that I will be doing this now is to do something on the box jumps and see if that also translates onto the jumps that I'm performing right now, which I am tracking at least. And because I had a couple of ideas of the way that I was going to approach this session here, I got into a bit of a confusing situation with the box jumps. And what I mean by that is that I was meant to be doing approach jumps with the left-right approach. But then as I was warming up for those, I started feeling like I was feeling much more bouncy with the opposite approach. And so what I ended up doing was a bit of a mix in the first set. And then the second one I did one way, and the third set I did another way. And I was noticing a bit of a difference in those two. And I am generally not against winging something if it feels better, but just because I need to get into a certain mindset if I'm going left-right or right-left, having to mix those two and also trying to go as explosively and as hard as possible ended up kind of taking away from the overall performance. But that is not really a big deal because this was kind of a session where I was experimenting a little more. And in here, when I was doing the left-right, I was feeling like I didn't really manage to get into the right flow for the left-right approach. I was doing much better on the right-left, sorry. And because of that, I also feel like the initial assessment that I made of doing one day where I was preferring one to the other is probably the best way to go about it, because this proves that I probably should be separating the two approaches while still keeping them in the same working week, because this is something that I want to progress over the next few months. And because of this way of approaching my jumping training for the following season, the cold season, is a very broad and generic one and not really specific, I want to be able to bring everything up to kind of the same level and see if this is something that allows me to get some performance increase when I will be getting into more specialized stuff, probably with a warmer season later on. But yeah, that's the end of the rambling. There's gonna be another picture session in a few months, and hopefully I made some improvements on the box jumps. Ciao.